think my biggest goal is I want to reach as many people as I possibly can with this message, that it's never too late to start. Regardless of what your past is, regardless of where you are right now, it's just not too late. And I want everyone out there to feel what I have felt and that change that I have had. Everyone's change could be a little bit different, but it's not too late. And so many people think I'm just too old to be lifting that. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I want to just get that out there to as many people as I can. I am not in it to be a millionaire. I retired from the school system. I'm fine. I just want to help. That's inside of me. I just want to reach as many people as I can and help as many people as I can.
All right, what's going on, everyone? I'm here with Susan from Susan Niebergall Fitness, and today's video is going to be a little different than the video that I normally put out. I was first introduced to Susan through the podcast called Revolutionary You, where she talked about how strength training and nutrition helped her through menopause. And I knew right away that I had to talk to her, I had to reach out to her and find a way to use this YouTube platform to share her story. Because not only is she a fitness pro herself, so she can give her own perspective, but also I think it's a topic that isn't as talked about in the industry as it should be. So Susan, if you would just introduce yourself and explain how you came about creating space for yourself in the industry.
Thank you. Hey everybody, I'm Susan from Susan Niebergall Fitness, and I've been a Fit Pro now for about 10 years. I'm coming to the fitness industry from an educational background. I was a band director and a school counselor for about 33 years, and I recently retired from the school system about 3 years ago. And during the end of that portion of my tenure there, I got certified as a trainer and started doing personal training part-time. And if you rewind the clock about 20 or 30 years, I actually have been a gym rat for that long, probably 20 or 30 years. I would go to the gym, do aerobics, do step classes, do all that stuff, all the group classes, worked with, gosh, I don't know, a dozen trainers over that period of time. And I think each one left something with me that I take with me today, actually. So I thank all of them for that. And I was one of those classic yo-yo dieters. I gained weight right after I got married, and I lost a lot of weight, and then I gained it and I lost it, and very typical of what I see out there right now. And it wasn't really until I was in my 50s that I figured it out with the help of a coach, someone who has totally changed my life. Jordan Syed. He is the one that helped me shift everything around. So I basically changed my physique, changed my health, changed my mindset when I was in my 50s. So my message, my platform now is for middle-aged women to understand that it is not too late to change how you look, how you feel, how you move. It's never too late. And when you get to middle age and perimenopause hits and menopause hits, there's nothing that says you have to just accept it and go. You don't have to accept it. You just need to dig in and get with a coach who can help you. And it is possible. It's just never too late. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
So it sounds like you haven't always been athletic all your life. So your physique now that you have built, what would you say was the turning point for you? Where did you go from when you were unhappy, if you know, when menopause hit, and was it during that stage or was it before? When did the yo-yo dieting come about, and when was the turning point for you?
You know, the yo-yo dieting actually has been on and off for, gosh, probably 25 years at least. I mean, I would lose the same 20 to 30, 40 pounds over and over and over again. I would lose some of it, gain a lot of it. You know, I was just back and forth in various increments with that. So that's been a long time in coming. It wasn't until I was in my 50s and I hooked up with Jordan, and we worked so much on how I was thinking of things and how I was processing things. There was a lot behind that. And then I got into the gym and started strength training big time. And yeah, I'm 57 years old. I'm lifting. I'm feeling as good as I've ever felt in my life. I've changed my physique entirely. I just put up on Instagram the other day a side-by-side picture of me. The first one I was 52, and then the second one was
I don't know, 3 months ago or something. And it's like two completely different
So in
people.
that span of time,
Yeah.
so how many years was?
So, I mean, the whole process, I started the process before I got hooked up with Jordan. I've been with Jordan for 2 years. And I had started it. And I was doing pretty well, but I wasn't thinking about it in the right way. I didn't quite have it down.
So what was the change exactly?
You know, he started, well, first of all, he backed off my training big time. I was training 6-7 days a week, killing myself.
Is it cardio? Was it a lot of cardio?
No, I mean, I did run
Okay.
because I wanted to just do half marathons and whatever, and I didn't enjoy it. I don't know really why I did that. I was not a good runner, but I thought, yeah, that'll help lean me out.
I remember I went through a phase like that too,
Yes.
where you think getting in shape is, oh, you do the 5Ks,
Yes.
you do the random, like, I don't know, all those like running situations.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
it was for me. I think when I started strength training before I met Jordan, but I was the 6 days a week, you know, 1,000,000 sets of this, high reps, heavy, you know, and I was getting hurt and I was just overtraining and I wasn't making any progress. I mean, that was the biggest issue. By evidence of that first picture that is in that post, I wasn't making any progress at all. So it wasn't until he got a hold of me that we started really working on backing off my training, being more specific with what I wanted to do, and then working with the nutrition piece, which was huge. I mean, it was really huge.
So what nutrition aspects were changed? Like what was the previous mindset and what mindset changed through nutrition?
Previous mindset was I was doing everything right.
Right.
I ate clean, that clean
Right.
word, which
Right.
I can't stand. I did. I actually ate really well. And so it couldn't possibly be related to that
Right.
because I ate all good foods. What I wasn't realizing at the time was how much of those good foods was I eating? You know, and people would tell me how disciplined I was with what I ate. They couldn't believe it. And yeah, I was. I was very disciplined. But I wasn't really keeping track of what I was eating because it was all good, so it didn't matter.
Right,
You know, so
right.
so I
Calories are still about
calories are still king. And I thought, yeah, no way.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the biggest issue.
So during that aspect of going through menopause, was it difficult to get the same activity in? Because if you were eating the same, you know, what did you experience through menopause that might have been different prior to that? And what was the struggle that you had to go through those symptoms?
So I remember vividly being in my bathroom and looking down at my belly one day and going, what the hell is this? I just like one day it just arrived. I know it didn't arrive in one day, but it just felt like that day, there it was.
Right.
And I was devastated because here I was this fit pro. How could I have let that happen to me, you know?
There's a lot of identity wrapped up into that.
There's a ton. There's
Yeah.
just a ton. So I went to my doctor because I knew it had to be my metabolism. That was the problem. Because your metabolism does slow down as you get older. Yes, it does. And I thought, of course, that's what this is. So I went and had all the testing done, and no. My doctor said, your metabolism's fine. And I couldn't hear that. Like, I was devastated. I just broke down in her office. And she told me something that sticks with me to this day. And she said, you know, Susan, as you get older, your body doesn't need the same amount of fuel it used to need. So if you're eating like you ate when you were in your 30s or 20, whatever, that's going to be an issue because your body just doesn't need it anymore. My metabolism was just fine. I was just eating too much, but I wasn't ready to accept that. I wasn't ready to accept it, so I left the office pretty devastated. And when I started with Jordan, I started tracking everything, and my jaw basically hit the floor. I had
So you weren't tracking anything before that?
Nothing, no, because there was no reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
I thought I was doing everything right, you know? And to be told that all that time you weren't, you know, really, was devastating, you know? So I got with Jordan, and all of his stuff just made sense to me. So I started tracking, and that's when I just learned what I was doing. And I started changing from there. I mean, I'm still seeing changes, I think. You know, I tell everybody, and I tell my clients this all the time, there's no timeline. Your body doesn't respond to you what you want it to be like. I want to lose 10 pounds in a month or whatever. Your body doesn't care what you want. It's going to do what it's going to do. So, you know, over the process, that picture was, 5 years ago, and I look totally different now. So over the course of 5 years, I've seen the change from, you know, a big round face, heavy through here, to now I've built definition, and I've built strength, and you know, and just,
I think it's important because after menopause, you're a clear example that you can still change your body. Like your body doesn't have this like lockdown of you hit this certain age and you don't have any chance to be in the best shape of your life.
100%.
You know, it's going to be a little more difficult, I think, and I think some people, it's hard to accept that. It's hard to accept that you have to work a little harder. It's harder to accept that it's going to be a challenge and sometimes it's going to suck, right? You know, what would you say are the biggest tools that you would say to someone who's having that mindset that they can't do it? You know, how would you explain to them that, you know, I've done it and this is how?
You know, everyone's different in how I work with them. Some people are very resistant to change. I was. So I understand that. And when they meet me with their heels dug in, it's a tension that I feel in my own body because I know that tension really well.
Right.
Because I did it. So I can so relate to that. And I think there's a wall that people put up because they're afraid. They're scared. And I think that just goes back to changing things as you get older, it gets a little harder. No one wants to do big changes.
Right.
So sometimes for some people, changing just a few things or one thing and focusing on that one thing, that's where I start a lot of people at. And other people, that would move too slow for them. So those people want to change a lot of things at once. And so you just have to kind of feel out who's where. Right. And what is the best fit for each person. And so what I tend to do with my clients is I tell them, you know, all I want you to do is track your calories. Let's see how much you're eating, and let's track how much protein you're eating. That's it. I don't care how many carbs they eat, and I don't care how much fat they eat. I don't care as long as it fits under the calorie umbrella. Yeah. Because everything's going to take care of itself. Because the average person, all they want to do is lose some fat.
Right.
And you know, and that's it. And that's all they have to do is to lose fat. They don't have to calculate, I can have this many carbs and this many fats. They don't need to do that. If they want to be competitive in something, perhaps then maybe there's a time and a place. But for the average person in my age bracket, all we want to do is lose fat. That's it. Just lose a little fat.
That's true. That's true. In the end, calories are still king, and I think you're also a perfect example that you can push yourself a little harder in the gym. You can make up for those little calories that seem to add up at the end of the day, that you think that your metabolism's slowing a little bit down, slowing down a little bit. You can make up for it a little bit in the gym, and if you do it right, which you can talk about a little bit, if you do it right, you know, you don't have to risk feeling like you're gonna break into a million pieces. That all of your bones are just gonna like fall apart because you hit a certain age.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest deadlift I've done is 265 at one point. You know, and I've backed down from that a little bit recently, but I guess my point is that not everyone's gonna walk up to the bar and start deadlifting, you know, 180 pounds or whatever. I mean, you work up to that. I didn't do that. I worked years to get to that point. So it's just but it's an example of you can do it. Right. You know, it's not too late. You just have to have the right guidance to do it safely and to do it in a progressive manner that makes sense for where you come in with. You know, I mean, if you're a beginner, you start with beginning level movements.
So is your coach now someone who has taught you those movements and how to prevent injuries? And
I knew most of the movements before I hooked up with him, but what he's done is he's totally refined my technique. Yeah. Okay. So I've learned a lot of finer points from him for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because, especially, you know, when you hit a certain age group, you do hit movement pattern issues. You know, things start to slow a little bit. You start to lose your balance at a certain age, and it starts to slowly decline from there. But I think an important part is that if you work on it and if you get ahead of the game a little bit, it's not gonna progress as quickly. You know, you're gonna be a little stronger. Your muscles are gonna be able to protect your joints a little bit more and your bones. What would you say was the most difficult aspects of that, mentally and physically?
Feeling like a failure when the weight would come back. And then I had a counselor friend who actually one day told me, after I'd lost weight, I don't know, I was in one of the I lost the weight kind of phases, and I told her I was really nervous about the weight coming back. And her comment to me was, "Oh, Susan, you'll never let that happen again." And at the time, I just felt like I was kicked in the gut because I'm like, oh no, the pressure now. Yeah. And of course, she came at it from a place of love and concern. I understand that, but not a great thing to say to someone who is doing this all the time. And so of course what happened, it came back for the, I don't know, the fourth, fifth time, who knows how many times it was. It came back, and so you feel like a complete and total failure. And that comment is in my head even to this day. I know how to deal with it now, but it rears its head every once in a while. I'm able to squash it and just move on from it now. But it's funny how powerful that is in how it sticks with you after this was many years ago too. So yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said about that, for the aspect that sometimes you don't know what it's like until you go through it.
Yeah.
So if that's the least motivating way that you can help, how do you stay motivated?
It's interesting. I'm not a real big motivational kind of person. I really feel like motivation is just not there when you need it. So instead of being motivated, I rely on habits. I have created habits. I go to the gym every Wednesday, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and one day on the weekend. Those are my gym days. I go on those days. Are there times I don't want to go on those days? Oh yeah, like Monday will probably be one of those. But I go because that's what I do.
Right.
I've done it for so long. It took time to create that. But what I find is I keep progressing. I keep moving forward because of that. If I sat back and waited to feel up and motivated to go to the gym every single time I'm supposed to go,
right.
That just wouldn't happen, because we're all human beings. So creating habits over time is what I rely on. And what's happened with that is that I do love to go. There's a rare day when I'm not into going, very rare. I can't wait to get there for the next one and the next one, because it's just been like that.
Exactly.
It's part of who I am now.
Yeah, and I think that's very powerful, the aspect of people have the habit of waiting for all the stars to align to start something.
Absolutely.
I know that typically the concept of medication or some kind of medical intervention is talked about. Is that something that you had to go through or that was advised for you?
And everybody's situation is different as they approach menopause. For me, we did talk about it, and it's not something that my doctor thought was, you need to do this. She offered it to me as an option to deal with some of the symptoms, and I just declined. I decided not to, and that was just my choice. She thought that was fine. She totally supported it. So for me, that worked for me, and I did not need any medication.
Right. Is this something that you talked about freely with your coach and stayed on tabs of? Was it something that you had to tell him, like, look, today's a really hard day, I have to pull back a little bit? Like, what was the ongoing kind of conversation with your coach?
He and I talk a lot, and when I first started with him, I would give him everything. Like, here's exactly what I did, how it felt, every exercise, everything. And then how my mind was thinking, like, this really stunk today, or this felt great today. And he would give me feedback, and we would just play off of that. And I think that part of the relationship grew a lot over the 2 years. And he just, when I was down or hard on myself, he was there to help pick me up and let me know, look, it's good, it's going to happen. He kind of helped me very much see that, but also a little tough love sometimes too was needed.
Right.
Susan, come on, let's go.
Right.
And I needed it. I totally needed it, and I think everyone does a little bit.
Yeah.
And it works. But he really was and is a great listener, and I think that's like number one. You have to feel like you're being heard. We're humans. We all want to be heard and validated. And if you don't do that, how can you help anybody?
And you're a trainer yourself, so I'm
Yes.
sure you've experienced that yourself
Yes.
and have been able to apply that to your clients.
I totally do, and that's a counseling skill. I use that as a school counselor for 25 years. The first thing out of the gate, you got to listen,
Right.
and once you start listening and validating people's feelings, the wall comes down, and then you can actually get to work. But you can't get to work if you start talking about reps and sets and exercises right out of the gate, and they don't feel like you have any connection to them.
Right. Kind of going back to the idea of, like, when you have to tell them, what you've been doing for however long is wrong.
Yeah.
And this is how you do right,
Yeah.
and you have to trust me. There has
And
to be a trust connection between
There
the trainer
has
and
to
the
be,
client.
or
Yeah.
you'll never change anything for
Right.
anybody. And that's why the first thing I always do is talk to people and just listen to their story, listen to they like to do, listen, because I don't want to program stuff that they hate. I mean, that's not smart. So what do they like to do? What worked? What didn't work? What did you like about this? What didn't you like about this? How does it all feel when you do this? What's your frustrations? All those kinds of things.
Right.
And then someone's like, wow, you care. It's like, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah, it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. It's the same thing with my coach as well. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
So what is your training like compared to how you train your clients? I know that you mentioned about how when clients first come in, they're going to have a different kind of experience than someone who's been training for years now. What are really kind of like the first steps training wise?
For all my clients that I onboard, first thing we do is we have a phone conversation, and that's where I do all the listening and finding out their history and what they're coming to me with. And it's various levels. I have people that come to me with very little, and I have people that come to me with a lot. So I program them very differently. But generally, I try to create a program that meets their needs. I don't try to fit them to a program.
Right.
So I have some, as a result, I have some clients that work out 4 days a week. I have some that work out 3. I have some that work out 2 because they do CrossFit or they do something else and they want the combination, or they like to run, or whatever it is. So yeah, I have people all over the map that are doing all kinds of different things, and they're at different stages of development. Some, like I said, are really advanced, and some are just kind of starting the journey. But they all have one thing in common, and that is they want to improve how they move, they want to improve how they feel, and they want to improve how they look. And the confidence that comes with it, and that's probably the biggest thing that's changed my life.
What is the age group or age range between your clients?
My online clients, they're probably ranging in age from 30 to 58, I think. I train people in person, so I have as young as a college age student up to someone my age, and then I train teachers at the school I used to work at, and that's a broad range, of 20-somethings to 60. Yeah.
So I think that's a good segue into what is your goal? What is your goal as a trainer, as someone who has your experience and has gone through what you've gone through?
I think my biggest goal is I want to reach as many people as I possibly can with this message, that it's never too late to start. Regardless of what your past is, regardless of where you are right now, it's just not too late. And I want everyone out there to feel what I have felt and that change that I have had. Everyone's change could be a little bit different, but it's not too late. And so many people think I'm just too old to be lifting that. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I want to just get that out there to as many people as I can. I am not in it to be a millionaire. I retired from the school system. I'm fine. I just want to help. That's inside of me. I just want to reach as many people as I can and help as many people as I can.
That's so wonderful. And how would people find you?
I am on Facebook, Susan Niebergall Fitness. I am on Instagram at Susan Niebergall Fitness. Started Twitter at SS Niebergall. I don't even know. I've done a couple of those.
I'll put everything in the description box.
Yeah, and I'm going to be getting on YouTube here real soon. So yeah, I'm kind of out there. Yeah.
So you're taking on more clientism now too?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, so
absolutely.
Now you guys know where to go. All right, well, I think that covers all the questions that we had and all the questions that I can think of. I want to thank Susan so much for coming down all the way to New York City to meet with us and to have this interview and to lift with us. It's been amazing to finally meet you.
It's been great.
And I can't wait for you to get onto YouTube. So I'm going to put all of her links in the description box. Please go check her out. And I'm also going to put the original podcast that you did with Revolutionary You in the link down below too. So be sure to check it out.
Awesome.
And yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.